Hi, welcome to Beyond Satire. I'm Linkard. Before I jump into this first episode, I want to explain what this is. So, Beyond Satire is an idea. It's a vague idea that I've had for years, probably at least 4 or 5 years now, because news stories nowadays feel like they're truly beyond satire, meaning that we could have thought of them years ago as satire news stories of things that could happen in the future if our world turned into clown world, but now they're true. Now those stories are even more ridiculous than any satire we could have imagined, and I don't feel like that's represented in the news media, for example. And so I also have a lot of perspectives on those news stories beyond satire that happen. That may be a perspective you might not have heard if you listen to mainstream news or even just general news outlets. And I want to talk about it because we feel very powerless. There are literal Nazis marching in the streets. That's not a joke. Like last year, it was in front of Disneyland, people brandishing swastikas. But in the US, this has been happening for a while, especially since Charlottesville. And I just want to talk about, maybe on a weekly manner. I don't really know. Is this a podcast? No, I don't know. I don't care. I just want to talk about news that's, in my opinion, beyond satire, and my perspective on it if I feel like it's not a perspective that's heard a lot. So I'm just going to jump into the first news story while playing Elden Ring. Also because I wanted to do it in this format because I need to get better at talking, and I am not that good at talking, and I am also not that good at Elden Ring, and I am even worse at playing Elden Ring while talking. I'm gonna lower the sound in my headset. And so, I thought I should play Elden Ring while talking because that will maybe make me better at both. God damn it. Okay, they're all gonna go after me now. It's gonna be even harder to talk. I'm just gonna go there. All right, I'm just gonna respawn them. So the first one is Trump has been found innocent in the hush money Stormy Daniels case, the state charge in the state of New York. And why that is relevant is it's not just that Trump got found innocent. If you listen, and I'm going to put everything in the description, if you listen to the judge's ruling, the judge is really not happy. And the judge is clearly saying in his ruling, just because I am saying that he is innocent doesn't actually, or I charge him not guilty, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exonerate him of any crime. Like, he still did the crimes. It's just that now he's the president and there is literally nothing we can do. And it is true. Like, there is nothing that actually they can do. You can say the judge is a coward, but like, imagine Trump is charged tomorrow. Who is going to enforce that charge? Like, think about it. I'm going to give you a second to think about it. No one. No one's going to enforce that charge. Who's going to send Trump to prison? Who's going to enforce that charge of Trump going to prison? No one. And I think it's a 50-50 on whether or not, like, the judge got visited by some Trump guys saying, like, hey, it's a bad idea, you go after him, like really cartoony shit. It's just, I think that the judge just knows there's nothing that can be done. And I also blame Merrick Garland, but that's neither here nor there. I think Trump, he did not prosecute Trump as much as he could have. Like, it should have been a show trial. At least he should have been made an example out of, because he's a fascist trying to overtake the country, and Democrats are just smugly being satisfied by the fact that they believe they're right. Like, it's just, the situation's really bad. But anyways, I think the main thing I want to say concerning Trump is now that he's gonna be now that he's been named innocent, and this has kind of nothing to do with the case, but you've heard Trump say that he wants to buy Greenland, he wants to annex Canada or make it the 51st state. I would, if I were you, take everything, all of this with a grain of salt, because Trump is gonna say a lot of dumb shit, and for a good reason. I think Trump is just being authorized and encouraged to do what he does, which is to just say a bunch of dumb shit, because it kind of distracts from the Republicans just destroying the country. Before this election, I said that if Trump is elected, it's a 50-50 on whether American democracy even still exists after 4 years. And that is still the case, and I think as time is going to pass, it's going to become 40-60 as time goes on, because basically the Republican Party cannot control Trump. Trump just does whatever he wants, which is why they appointed J.D. Vance. They kind of pushed for J.D. Vance to be his vice president, because J.D. Vance is just the Heritage Foundation's like bitch. I just don't have another term, but like he'll just do what they want. He's a fascist, and he's an ideological fascist where Trump just kind of wants applause. He's not an ideological fascist. He'll be pro-trans if that gets him applause. He hugged the gay flag, like, when was it, 4 years ago? He did that. Like, people forget that, but he did that. He's just a fascist because that's what gets him applause and power now. But the Republican Party likes, if they can't control Trump, they at least like the fact that he says some dumb shit about Greenland, about Canada, and every single news outlet will talk about that. And they won't talk about the fact that, for example, Idaho is pushing a resolution right now to have the definition of, to restore the natural definition of marriage. So basically what that means is they're trying to push for the abolition of gay marriage. And basically they're trying to push the case so that it can appear in front of the Supreme Court. And listen, I don't think gay marriage can be repealed nationwide. Like, even if the Supreme Court, that's majority Republican, that's a majority Republican Supreme Court, even if they passed a nationwide ban, like California, Washington would just not enforce it. But the problem is, while we're talking about Trump doing some dumb shit, we're not talking about Idaho trying to repeal gay marriage. And I know that most people will think, like, appeal gay marriage? Oh no, they'd never do that. And they wouldn't realize that's the case until it's too late. I'm being a real coward because I am very distracted right now and I cannot take them all at the same time. And I'm gonna move on to the second point, because in terms of really crazy shit that people don't realize, this definitely fits into that. If I kill this guy while talking, it's gonna be a first. The California fires. So obviously there's the angle of climate change. This is happening because of climate change. It's legit. I think it's the worst fire the US has known, or at least one of the worst, especially a fire that affects a city. I think it's the worst fire in terms of size that ever affected, that ever happened in the US. But I'll put in the description whether that's true or not. But either way, one thing we're not talking about, and for not good reason, but for a reason you'll understand, is the firefighters' slaves. If you don't know, first, one thing you need to understand is that slavery is legal in the United States. And that's not an exaggeration, that's not like semantics. Slavery under the 13th Amendment is illegal in the United States unless for those who have been convicted of a crime. Quite literally, like that. I am word for word reciting the 13th Amendment. I might have gotten it slightly wrong, but that's basically it. Slavery is legal if you were convicted of a crime, and what that means is that slave labor is very much prominent in the U.S. Labor market. So in cases where there are fires, like in California, what happens is that prisons send felons, like people in this prison, to combat the fires. They have like, for example, Hassan Piker, a Twitch streamer, just interviewed a bunch of those firefighters, and they said they received a 2-week like a 2-week training, basically, which is insane because that's some of the hardest work that you can do, and 2 weeks training to send you in some of the most dangerous fires that the US has ever seen is quite insane. All right. And they are paid something like $180 a month, which is, I mean, that's just, they might as well not be paid anything, to be honest. I can't believe I cleared this entire area while talking. I couldn't clear it this morning. So if you think I'm exaggerating when I'm saying the word slavery, I'm really, really, really not. Like, the 13th Amendment agrees with me, and they are basically not paid. They are paid a fuck you wage. And the biggest thing is, like, you might say, oh, but at least they're getting skills. Like, if you hear them talk, they say, like, at least, like, it's better than, like, being in prison. And it's true, because, like, being kicked in the nuts or in the chest, like, you'd probably choose being kicked in the chest, but, like, not being kicked at all is a better solution, I think. But they can't become firefighters when they leave, when they just leave, because I still think it's the case, but, like, last year it was definitely the case that you can't just become a firefighter after you leave prison. Like, it's not, if you're a felon, you can't become a firefighter. So they are being used as slave labor to fight fires, and they get their sentences reduced most of the time. But they can't become a firefighter afterwards. So it's just, they basically have to do it to reduce their sentence. It's just madness. Like, it's just, we're using slave labor to fight fires, and their conditions are horrible. And I just don't like that the mainstream media is not talking about it. And they're not talking about it because hearing these prisoners talk about helping the community, and, like, seeing how much people thank them for fighting the fires and how much that means to them, especially when compared to the harrowing conditions of prison, and how that makes them want to turn their life around, like, and how much that makes them want to, you know, do good by the community. Like, listening to that makes you empathize with prisoners. And of course, that's not going to be shown on mainstream media that's being owned by billionaires, you know? So again, I'm going to link all the sources in the description. This is, I'm realizing now, especially playing a game as dark as Elden Ring, this is not going to be like a happy-go-lucky podcast thing, whatever. But yeah, I'm going to go to the third point because I don't want to talk about a topic that's definitely going to get this video suppressed, but I don't feel like using euphemisms. Meta bending the knee, that's the note that I have. Yeah, so Meta is bending the knee, more specifically Zuckerberg. I don't like Zuckerberg, but that's neither here nor there. But I don't like him because it's very obvious that he just sways with the wind, which is normal. Like, if you stan any billionaire, you're an idiot. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You should not stand billionaires. They do not care about you. No one gets billions of money except for maybe a few people. Like, I don't know, isn't LeBron James a billionaire? Like, at least he does something. Like, he plays basketball. You don't become Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. You don't become a billionaire without doing some monstrous shit. Like, your wealth, like wealth to that level is so undescribably big that you have to do some insane shit to amass so much. You know what I mean? You don't just work hard. Like, it requires some massive, monstrous shit. But the new thing that he's doing is that now he's modifying the terms of service on Facebook because, again, one of the wild things that Trump did is I think he threatened to throw him in prison for life. And so now he's just on the MAGA train. And of course it's disingenuous. It's just because he doesn't want to get on Trump's bad side. So, for example, in Meta's new terms of service, you can now call gay people and transgender people mentally ill. So basically in the terms of service, you're not supposed to, you can't call people mentally ill based on just their characteristics. But you totally can if they're gay or transgender. I'm not joking, like transgenderism is now in the Facebook terms of service. And it basically says you can't call someone mentally ill for their characteristics unless they are a part of the transgenderism movement or whatever, or they're gay. So, you know, I'm just gonna let that sit. On top of this, they took out the messenger themes that were the non-binary and trans colors. Just like what the fuck? Oh my god, I really cannot talk. If I sound weird, it's because I really cannot talk and play at the same time. It's really hard. But yeah, it's just if you wanted to put messenger in the trans colors, you can't do that anymore. It just takes effort to take that out of the app. It's already programmed in the app just to show you how committed they are. And he went on Joe Rogan to talk, and listen, like, it's pathetic. And that's what really pisses me off about it most, is that it's so disingenuous that it's, if you fall for it, I'm sorry, you have to be better than that. One of the basically only clip I saw from the Joe Rogan interview was Mark Zuckerberg saying the following. He was saying, yeah, I'm going to talk to Melina. Just before knowing what Zuckerberg says, you have to endure me talking to Melina. All right, I've already played this part. I don't care. Demigod Oh, okay, cool. Is that it? Okay. Basically, he came on Joe Rogan and he said, you know, nowadays, like, masculinity is seen as this bad thing. He was saying, oh, masculinity is seen as this bad thing now, and like, it's not bad. I think femininity and masculinity are both good. And it's like, bro, this is not 2018 anymore. Like, no, he's talking about toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is called toxic masculinity because it refers to the toxic aspects of masculinity. Even like, and I am the biggest gender abolitionist you will find. So if you want to talk about like an extreme gender abolitionist, leftist, that's me, okay? Just take me as an example. You can talk about masculinity while talking about the good aspects of masculinity. That's not the point. Someone like me might say that if you force people into a masculine and feminine social characteristics, if you force them to adhere to those characteristics, of course toxic masculinity would just logically happen. Like, I just don't like those two social categories to be forced to exist. I think people should just do whatever they want. But, like, I'm not going to say that masculinity is all bad. Like, no, it's not. That's why the term toxic masculinity exists. And that's kind of what pisses me off about, like, when those dumbasses just go on Joe Rogan to say like, oh yeah, dude, like wokeism has gone too far. It's like, I used to think that, and so I know what the reasoning is. And I'm sorry, in 2025, you're gonna have to do a little bit harder than just they say that masculinity is bad. Sorry, that's not gonna cut it. That's like, again, 6 years ago, that dumbass argument, maybe if you want to convince 17-year-olds, yeah, that's enough. But in 2025, no, the argument for toxic masculinity is that not that all of masculinity is bad. The term is toxic masculinity, meaning that you're specifically talking about toxic aspects of masculinity. If all of masculinity was bad, we would not be talking about toxic masculinity. Jesus fucking Christ. It's like, you can see that he's not honest with it. He's just doing it to not like to just go in the sense of the wind that's currently blowing. But like, Jesus fucking Christ, put a little more effort in it. And I know that even the dumbest of dumb like far righters are not falling for it, because even they are saying like, yeah, he's just saying whatever. Like, I don't trust him. But yeah, it blew my mind how little effort it took to just, especially to get on Joe Rogan, to get Joe Rogan to agree with you. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just yapping because no, Joe Rogan has been off the deep end for years now. Yeah, okay, I'm looking at my notes. That's all I have to say for that. And lastly, I want to talk about just a more fun topic. The richest man in the world trying to appeal to gamers and prove that he's a pro gamer, and failing spectacularly and showing that he's basically cheating. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, good, you have a life. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, did a stream where he streamed the game. Holy shit, get back. He streamed the game Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 2 is a game where I want to appeal to a very wide audience with these, so I'm going to assume you have no idea what most of the video games I'm going to talk about are. So it's a Diablo-style game, kind of. If you know Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, it looks like that. It's basically a game where you control a little guy, the view is top-down, so you're seeing from above, and you control the guy and you like do dungeons and stuff. And the whole point of the game is you grind dungeons. So you do dungeons over and over to increase in levels and increase your stats, but mainly acquire loot. Those games are about acquiring loot. You like learn the mechanics of the game to acquire the best loot possible, to do the harder dungeons, to acquire better loot, to do harder dungeons. And Path of Exile 2 is a game with a lot of mechanics. It's honestly, there's a lot going on. But Elon Musk was claiming to be a top 100 player. He already said he was a top 100 player on StarCraft 2, I think, in Joe Rogan. And he said he was also a top player in Diablo 4. But you might recall years ago he showed what his build was for Elden Ring, the game I'm playing right now. And it was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. I've ever seen in my life. And you might think I'm exaggerating, but I have never fucking seen a dumber build of Elden Ring. And you might say, well, Linkard, like, listen, I'm not very good at video games. No, you don't understand. This guy was rocking like 2 shields, which if you've played the game, you know, like, you don't wear 2 shields. You can only use 1 shield at any given time. A second shield just weighs you down. And on top of this, when you looked at his stat, if you wear shields, the best stat is like strength. A stat that doesn't make sense to invest in if you're doing a melee build like swords and shield is to invest in intelligence. And he basically invested like all of his points in intelligence despite like not using spells and using shields. Like, it made no fucking sense. It really seemed like he like was playing a melee build but thought like, oh, I'm a very intelligent guy, I'm gonna put all my points in intelligence. People have made videos about his build. It was just bad. But like from that point on, I already knew Elon Musk like wasn't a smart person. The mask of him being smart kind of slipped when he acquired Twitter. But a lot of people like still thought, well, no, he's very smart. He's just in an echo chamber. The build for me reinforced the fact that like, no, there's something going on. Like this guy, maybe this guy like has like smart people. I knew it for a while, but like it was very clear that he was not a curious person. To have like one Google search would have showed you that your build is fucking stupid. And like I am very big into letting people enjoy video games however they want. But he's been portraying himself as a huge pro video game player. And that build showed that like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, just shut up. Enjoy your dumbass build and just shut up. You're definitely not smart. Not saying that I am. Like, I died again. I'm actually surprised at how little I've died so far. But now he did a streaming Path of Exile 2. And when I tell you that this man claims to be a top 100 player because he has one of the best accounts in the game, he does not know how to play. And when I say he does not know how to play, I don't think you're ready. So first of all, like when he started the stream, I'm gonna link to the Charlie's video, Penguin Zero, on the subject because he basically summarizes it pretty well. He starts off and there's like an inventory tab called Elon's Maps. And like the maps in the game, from what I understand, are like the dungeons. And so it's kind of weird to have, and that's what Charlie says in the video, it's kind of weird to have like an entire tab where you're talking about yourself in the third person. But it's like, okay, he's a kooky guy, he's a weird guy, okay. This guy does not know how to play the game. When he selects the dungeons to play, he clicks on like points in the map that are grayed out. And like basically how it works is like wherever you are on the map, I think you can only click on adjacent nodes to go to adjacent dungeons. If you've played for thousands of hours, hundreds of hours, you know this because you've done it for hundreds of hours. And he was clicking on nodes just across the map to go to dungeons he couldn't go to with icons grayed out. Like anyone who's played video games knows a grayed out icon is something you can't click on. Like any normal person who hasn't played video games knows a grayed out icon is something you can't click on. And this guy was just clicking on dungeons for like a full minute, not realizing he couldn't play them. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, but basically once he was in the dungeon, it was very apparent he has basically never played this game in his life and probably never played Diablo despite claiming he's a top 100 player. Because this guy, not only was he avoiding like incredibly important loot in the dungeon that like not even pro player but just player of that game would never skip out on, but he was doing really weird shit. Like for example, he was like clicking and dragging items in the game to his inventory, which is like not something you'd ever do in any kind of Diablo style game. Like it's very strange. I'm gonna stop talking about this because I'm realizing that I'm basically summarizing Charlie's video, which is summarizing like another video, and I don't think there's a point in me like badly summarizing a video like this. Just watch Charlie's video or watch the video of the guy who reviewed Elon Musk's stream. But if you ever feel bad in your life, if you ever feel bad, and I'm gonna end on this note, if you ever feel bad about Nazis marching with swastikas openly and the media not giving a shit, whether it be in France or in the US, if you ever feel bad about Trump being elected and basically making Elon a shadow, like the shadow president, which is the topic for another video because Jesus fucking Christ. Oh yeah, because of course Zuckerberg in the video where he says that he was gonna improve free speech. Oh yeah, because I missed that. Yeah, okay, no, never mind. I'm not done. Meta basically, do you remember when on Twitter, like Elon Musk said he was going to restore free speech, and like right-wing politicians were disingenuously saying that how do I say this? Them trying to push for conservatives to be like not banned was not like an issue of them saying the N-word. It was an issue of free speech. And you know, like improving free speech on these platforms was definitely not just a way, like it definitely was not them trying to make an effort to let conservatives say the N-word on platforms. No. It was to improve the free speech of everyone. And as Twitter became more and more right-wing and became more and more, unquote, like prone to free speech, it became obvious that, yeah, no, Elon's plan was never to improve free speech. He kept banning people that simply made fun of them. He simply, like, he banned people who were just a little bit left-wing. And you could say the N-word hard R to someone and you wouldn't get banned. Someone posted images and videos of, let's just say, images of a child that should never be taken or posted to the internet or seen by anyone ever, very illegal. That person got banned and then Elon reinstated them. I'm going to put as many sources as I can in the description, but Elon not only reinstated them, but like defended them, saying like, no, they should be able to do that. Again, someone who posted to Twitter pictures, I think it was pictures or videos, of a child that should just not be on the internet or anyone's machine for any reason other than maybe like secret services to track those people. Like, I hope my message came across. Meta, by changing their terms of service so that you can call trans people mentally ill, have made it very, very obvious that the goal was always to just make conservatives be able to say the N-word online and be homophobic and racist online. And saying, like, now they're openly saying we have to let conservatives say that gay people and trans people are mentally ill because otherwise they can't talk, because they're so racist and homophobic that they just get banned because they are horrible human beings. Those terms of services change are just very openly and unashamedly, their goals is just unashamedly about making Republicans more able to say crazy shit online and homophobic and bigoted things. But to go back to my closing statements, if you ever feel bad that Nazis are marching in the streets, if you ever feel bad that abortion is being eroded, abortion rights are being eroded, and even if you live outside the US, if you ever feel bad that the US culturally has a massive export and all the dumb shit that we see in the US in the matter of months or years at the most, if you ever feel bad that they get imported to your country, remember that the richest man in the world, who owns a social media company, who is, again, the richest man in the world. He is richer than basically any person in history. Like, when we talk about kings and things like this, like, it does not compare. That person is so miserable that they felt the need to do a stream where they lied about being a pro at Path of Exile. And because I realized that I didn't offer this explanation, it's likely that his Path of Exile 2's account is being played by basically better players. It's like, what's most likely is that he asked like good players of the game to play on his account, and then they basically geared him up and let him play on the account whenever he wanted. And when he connected, that's why it said things like Elon's maps, is because they gave him maps or like dungeons that were very easy, so that even though he doesn't know how to play the game, he could like just boast in front of all his viewers by playing a character that was boosted to oblivion for him. And even though he has like one of the best characters in the game right now, from what I understand, he still died a lot, and he still said so much more dumb shit than I talked about. But again, Charlie's video or the video from the other guy. Again, I'm Linkard. See ya.